All the time we spent, wonder where it went. Why must time move on? Why must we grow apart?
Welcome to the Final Picture Show podcast as we get to the end of the original Planet of the Apes series. And of course, I'm here always with Travis.
Yeah. Hey, do we ever say who you are? I'm just realizing. Do we ever say, hey, and it's Matt too, of course, obviously.
No. I like to live as like this nameless entity.
Oh, okay.
Not that dissimilar from Jesus, honestly, if you think about it, you know.
Yeah, he never wanted anybody to say his name.
I was going to say, I'm not making the connection between myself and Christ. I'm just connecting the dots for you to do that there for you.
I mean, if you hear it, that's on you, you know?
If you want to put the dots together, and I'll let you do that yourself. That's completely on you. But I'm just saying, hey, you know?
I like
ever been in the same room at the same time? I don't think so.
I mean...
Who am I to say? Apparently this is sacrilegious, but, you know, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Speaking of sacrilegious, this movie came out in 1973.
Most sacrilegious year.
It's the most sacrilegious year possible, 1973. Probably a year the Steelers won the Super Bowl. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. It's either the Steelers or the Cowboys that year, I bet. I'm guessing Steelers and Cowboys that year.
God, now you make me want to look it up.
Wow, man, this is the end of the original Planet of the Apes series, and then we still have more to go. We got the modern ones, obviously. And then we have the animated TV show that would come out in I believe the 80s, 70s perhaps. I forget when exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have the live-action TV show that would come up pretty much right after this, of which they would then take those episodes and edit them into about, I think, 5 made-for-TV movies.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Planet of the Apes to go, so to say. So this is a world that we will return to probably again and again.
So what you're saying is it's a madhouse?
It's a madhouse, yes.
Speaking of madhouse, turns out 73 was a sacrilegious year. Do you know who won the Super Bowl that year?
I guess Steelers or Cowboys. I'm supposing I'm wrong.
No, it's Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay. That must have been the year they had like the perfect season.
Probably.
I'm guessing that was the year
they
had
did.
like.
Yeah, they did.
I was gonna say because they never won with Marino because he was a choke artist. Here's us talking about old football. So yeah, this is like I can talk about all sports, professional until like 2008, and then various ones of them completely fall off. It's like the players I liked, I retired and I stopped caring as much, or like the coaches I liked, or whatever happened, I kind of just lost interest in most of them, except for basketball. It's the only one that, I've kind of kept up with year to year to year, just because, played it a little bit when I was a Ute, as Joe Pesci would say.
Nice.
Speaking of Joe Pesci, he's not in this movie. I don't know why I brought him up, but Sign of the Apocalypse, not Joe Pesci. Sign of the Apocalypse. We lost an icon in movies. Graham Greene died, which has been a big one for me, at least. Just seeing like how many movies he was in. Obviously, Dances with Wolves, but tons of movies. If you were a kid growing up in the '90s, tons of shit.
I mean, he was. I mean, you just couldn't. There was. I mean, we've talked about movies that he was in. At least one. We talked about The Postman.
The Postman. Yeah. Yep.
I know that, and I think we talked about North once, like just in passing. He's in that
in
one.
Passing, we brought up North. Yeah, one of your Elijah Woods that you like.
Yep.
Probably when we talked about Deep Impact, I believe. Probably.
Oh, that would only make sense.
Turns out it's when we talked about Prayer of the Roller Boys. Yeah. Graham Greene was a great actor. Sucks that he died. Speaking of death, I actually had some personal death myself recently. My grandmother passed recently, which has been a thing that has occurred. It sucks. It happened very, very quickly. It literally went from she's in the hospital to she's dead. Like it happened very, very suddenly. She was 89 years old, so she definitely was not necessarily something where it was like, oh, if she gets sick, she's going to pull through. It was like, if this could very well be like, a big situation, and it did turn out to be a big situation. But it will precipitate the event of me ending up back in Texas for the first time in about a decade. So
it's been about,
I'll be back in Texas for the first time in a while. So I'm only going to be there for about a day. So I don't know if there's really anything I'm going to get into, but unfortunately, being a teacher, you don't get a lot of time off during the school year. They kind of reserve that for the summer. So I only have I have 9.5 days left for the entire year, and we're like 1 month in. So it's like, so it is what it is. It's part of the job. I can't really complain too much. Kind of took it willingly. So I kind of knew what it was, but the people at work are nice enough that they're going to help me out a little bit where they can in terms of flexibility there, since I am several states away. But see what we can do. No.
Yeah.
I also did not plan on this happening, so I had not upgraded to the real ID, which apparently you need to fly now. So this might be a hang up that prevents me from getting to Texas. We'll find out. But I recently.
What is this?
So apparently, even though my driver's license has not expired, that is no longer enough to prove your identity to board a plane flight within American borders. So if I want to fly from Tennessee to Texas, I have to have a special kind of ID called a real ID. It's the same thing as a driver's license, but it's got a star up at the top. It basically just is another way to be tracked by the government, is literally what it pretty much boils down to. And I don't have one of those. My driver's license didn't expire for another year, so I didn't see the point in going and getting it early. What the hell? I don't feel like just waiting at the DMV for no goddamn reason.
Yeah, for real.
I'm a sensible human being.
I pulled out my driver's license to see if there's a star. Now, there is a star, but it's because there's the state of Texas.
No, this is supposed to be a big gold star, up at the top right corner or something. I don't know. Mine didn't have it. Yeah, so like I said,
I think this is a Lone Star thing because it's Texas.
Yeah.
So
apparently, it's a thing I'm supposed to do that I didn't do because I'm I don't travel.
I have it either.
I don't give a shit about it. So what the hell's the point?
Oh man!
But now apparently I'm going to get hassled at the airport. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's probably not going to be a big deal, I'd imagine. But we'll find out. I'm just going from Tennessee to Texas. Literally, it's like a 10-hour drive. So it's not like a thing where it's if they're you can't get on the airplane, I'll just be okay, I'll just rent a car.
Yeah, I guess so.
There you go. All right, I'm driving through Arkansas.
Oh man,
there you go.
Is this going to be like a planes, trains, and automobiles sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, so that's been my connection there, and that's my sign of the apocalypse. I guess is death. Death is always inside of the apocalypse, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of death, apparently Mein Fuhrer himself is knocking on heaven's door as he is apparently straddling the line between life or death. As all weekend long we kept getting reports of his demise being imminent, and then seeing him play golf and do other things. It was kind of just hey, I guess he's not dead. I don't know. It's is that AI? I don't know anymore.
I mean, right?
Reality is beginning to cave in on itself, it seems like.
It really is. Honestly. Oh, man.
Speaking of reality caving in on upon itself, let's get into tonight's creature feature, Planet of the Apes. Battle 4, that to be specific. Same director as last time, so no reason to kind of go into any kind of expense there and kind of revisit him again. He did not have as much fun making this one as he did the last one, and a lot of that was because of the budget. He really felt that because of the success of the last one, based on his budget, which was the lowest budget ever in the last one, he should be given more money here. He was given a little bit more, $2 million. It made $8 million, but he wanted more money. And you can tell that when you see the battle scenes, because a lot of it's repeated footage again and again and again. And about the first 6 minutes of this movie is all stock footage from the first couple movies. So
that was a fun new twist in the...
Yeah. Speaking of fun new twists, there's actually a lot of footage that was taken out for different cuts of this movie. And so I will, whenever we get to the plot, I'll tell you some of the details about what was cut and what was a little different than what we're seeing here. Small things.
Yeah.
The writing team has changed. So the original writer, Paul Dean, was only given story credit this time, and he did contribute to the screenplay, but only in editing the end of the movie. The reason for that is because he was actually sick while they were making this movie. Oh. And they rushed it into production like they had the other ones as well. And so they didn't wait for him to get better before they started shooting. And so he was replaced here by John William Corrington and Joyce Hooper Corrington, which is the married writing team that also wrote Omega Man, which we reviewed about 40 episodes ago when we looked at, when we first started looking at Charlton Heston, a character that we have seen again and again now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you might think that they got this job because they love the Apes movies and they were like, we could do something cool with this. No, they had never actually seen a single one of the Planet of the Apes movies when they took this job. This was a pure paying the rent gig.
That would explain the first, 6 minutes of the movie.
Indeed. So, so this was not necessarily what Paul Dean had in mind whenever he was kind of wrapping up the series. Because, like I said, other than the first one, which he contributed a little bit to the first one, but he's been the primary writer on all of the rest of them. So, to credit for been the only writer on a lot of them. They're all based on the book series, obviously. But he has been the primary screenplay writer on all of them, except for this one, where he only gets a story credit. So there's a little bit about our writer and director. Let's get into the cast. A lot of people that we've talked about before. Roddy McDowall is back again as Caesar.
Yeah.
And we're joined by some newbies as well. This is where I'm going to pause and add in the footage from the last episode. So pause for edit. Two new actors that show up here in kind of bit roles that are fun to talk about is, first off, is John Huston, who's actually mostly known as a writer-director himself. He would mostly go on, or be known pretty much for directing Maltese Falcon, Treasures of Sierra Madre, Red Badge of Courage, African Queen. The last movie he actually directed was with his daughter, Angelica Houston, the Oscar-winning actress. And John Huston also won several Oscars as well. The last movie they did together was The Dead, which is based off of the James Joyce short story that a lot of millennials read in high school. Is maybe like the only short story you could read by James Joyce in high school and expect high school students to understand.
Yeah?
Yeah, like pretty much every other James. James Joyce is one of the most complicated writers in the English literature.
He did Ulysses, right?
Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake. Finnegan's Wake is like reading another language.
Is it really?
Yes. You might as well be reading like a completely made-up language when you read Finnegan's Wake. If you ever see anyone... Finnegan's Wake is like an original... like to me, that's like, there's levels of pretension, right? If any of my former English professors are listening, they're going to enjoy this conversation. There's levels of pretension, right? And I think like middle level pretension is like sitting in a cafe reading Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Like that's like that's like a middle level pretension. Higher level pretension is smoking a corn cob. Middle level, yes, sir. Higher level is smoking a corncob pipe and reading Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, because that's just utter nonsense at large portions of it. I don't think it's actually like sensible, and I don't think he intended it to make sense. I think it's just kind of like a writing exercise, just goofing around, having fun.
Wow, that's wild too. To me, hearing that Infinite Jest is mid-level is shocking, because this one. I read this story about a guy that was in a bookstore, and he was getting Infinite Jest, and the lady behind the counter said, every, like, I don't know, she said something like every, like, boyfriend I dumped very quickly had this by his bedside table, and and I was like, oh god. So I've still never read it. So,
it's like but there are parts of Infinite Jest that are really, really wonderful. David Foster Wallace writes sentences like he plays tennis. That's a metaphor few people will probably care about, but so he kind of has like this bouncing effect with his sentence structure. This is a completely different topic that we should probably move away from. But anyway, there are parts of Infinite Jest that are really wonderfully written, and some of the ideas are there. The audience and the culture surrounding the book is what makes it pretentiously annoying. But the novel itself is, I wouldn't say necessarily like. I think it's one of the finer works and more. One of the finer works of the last couple of last like whatever 150 years of English literature, whatever you want to call it. Like it's probably one you should probably thrum through. But there's some other ones that I would take first before I get to that one.
That's fair.
And I definitely wouldn't make a big show about reading it and be like, look, I'm reading. It's like, it's a difficult novel, but It's a difficult novel only because, you probably haven't read some other difficult novels that exist in the world.
Probably true.
If you read a lot of other like avant-garde literature, then Vanishing Point by David Markson is a really like absurdist avant-garde novel, which is it's beautifully sad, but it's just a person reciting like facts, historical facts.
Mm-hmm.
But as they're doing it, the narrator, who's the person reciting these facts, is slowly dying of dementia. And so you can read that in the novel and how the tone of the novel shifts, but it's just reciting of facts. So the entire thing is very tonal based, and it's like, but there's like personal facts mixed with historical facts mixed with like facts about like jazz musicians, and it's a really cool book. I'll bring it to Texas. I'll let you have it. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, of course, it's one of my favorite books. I love Vanishing Point by David Markson. It's like a good. Hey, you want to read some avant-garde literature? Here's a good place to start. If you like this, then now you can kind of get an idea of what it means to put together a narrative when sentences don't necessarily logically flow from one idea to the next. Because that's kind of what makes Infinite Jest difficult at times, is because there's a lot of like abbreviated thoughts, like someone was talking and then got lost in thought. How do you replicate that in a novel? You kind of makes the novel difficult to read at times,
right?
But a lot of it's just like he has footnotes and stuff, so that's what makes Infinite Jest mid-level to me, is because he helps you piece together what he's doing. Whereas other novels are just like, fuck it, you're on your own, bro. Figure it out. Like, you figure it out. It's up to the reader's experience. You make sense of what I'm laying down. It's more poetic in nature, which I think is cool.
Oh, that is cool.
The poetry of literature.
I'm not shocked that it's easy for us to digress into this because, well, one, you're well learned in literature and everything, and I've heard of books. So
I'm familiar with their covers. Yeah. I like to think as learned as I am in literature, I'm more so in movies, because I've definitely watched a shitload more movies than I've read books. I just. The books I read are probably a little bit weird compared to most people. I have esoteric taste, so to speak.
Well, you gave me a great book already. Jesus' Son.
Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson. Yeah, that's a fantastic. I knew every raindrop by its name.
I did give that to my daughter. So
nice. Yeah, that's a good one to pass down. It's a short story collection that is very touching and powerful.
It was very powerful. I ended up watching the movie more. The
movie is. I wish I owned a copy
of
the movie. I wish I owned a copy of the movie. The movie is so good. It's one of those movies that I'm always like, one day I'll find a copy of it.
Hell yeah.
It's expensive to buy online. It's like $20-$30 or something. It's not expensive, but for a movie, it's kind of like,
well, yeah.
Speaking of movies, let's get back to the one we're talking about. that was a giant rabbit hole of James Joyce led us down. The other,
appropriate though.
Yeah, right. The other writer director that shows up in a little bit role here is John Landis, who would also be the director of Kentucky Fried Movie, Animal House, which is a movie we've talked about a bunch, Blues Brothers, and Blues Brothers 2000. An American Werewolf in London, I love that movie. Coming to America, I love that movie.
Oh yes.
And I think another really underrated one, Spies Like Us.
I love Spies Like Us. I
think that's an underrated movie.
Me and my dad constantly are like, doctor.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
We do that all the time.
It's a great movie. Yeah, John Landis, mostly known as a writer-director of a lot of those movies. Like, if it was an 80s comedy, he probably had something to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
And Kentucky Fried Movie is another one that's kind of classically underrated. Kentucky Fried Movie is a really great movie.
I haven't actually watched it all the way through. I need to actually sit and watch it.
Yeah, you would love that one. If you like Cannonball Run and shit like that, you would love that movie. Yeah. Well, speaking of Cannonball Run, kind of movies that are all for the family, kind of like Cannonball Run would be considered, is kind of what the target market that the following man, which is the Arthur P. Jacobs. He's been the guy who's been the producer of all of these movies. Since we're talking about the last one, might as well talk about him for the last time here. He mostly produced a lot of kids' movies. That was kind of his whole motif. He went for movies that were all for the family, including Dr. Dolittle, which is a movie that we did talk about earlier in this series when Dom was on here, because several of the characters that showed up in the second Planet of the Apes movie were also in Dr. Dolittle. So you can see the crossover with the same producer there. Arthur P. Jacobs would also be famously known as the guy who sold the rights to Midnight Cowboy, which was one that he owned the rights to, but like I said, he mostly focused on family movies, and he said he would refuse to produce it because he only wanted to make movies that you could take your kids to, and I don't think you should take your kids to see Midnight Cowboy.
No?
No, maybe the kids don't need to see what Dustin Hoffman is like as a gigolo.
I was going to say, I mean, he's walking here.
He's walking here. I love Midnight Cowboy. Midnight Cowboy's a great movie.
Yes, it is a great movie.
That movie is one of those movies that when you go back and you watch like 70s movies, that's like a 70s movie.
Absolutely.
And it's a great one. Great one. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Akins, who is a TV actor, who I mostly remember for he really strongly resembles my grandfather. My grandfather that died like 2018, he looks just like him. Very, very similar. He would mostly be known for playing Lobo in the trucker TV show from the 70s called Lobo.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was his main character, but not his only character. He would also be many other things, including some Broadway stuff. He was in World War II as well, where he served for the U.S. Army.
Oh.
Yeah. Also went to Northwestern University. Did some stuff there. Would show up in a lot of movies, including The Devil's Brigade, Porgy and Bess, From Here to Eternity, The Caine Mutiny. Was one of those kind of actors. Rio Bravo, he also showed up in, so continue doing stuff there. And would eventually settle into a career as I guess like host would be the word to describe it almost.
Oh.
Basically, like he would do the intros for like safety videos for different trucking companies in the 80s.
Oh.
So they would, when you got your commercial driver's license, they would make you watch these like safety shorts and then take a test on them. So they basically make us do that now. But they started in the 80s, and he would show up in a lot of those as the instructional safety tenant, like voice, like kind of thing, and then also like in character sometimes as well. So was mostly known for TV shows largely in the 70s and 80s. So kind of shortly after this time would kind of transition mostly into TV roles. This is Paul Williams, who is mostly known as a songwriter, but he's also an actor. He wrote a lot of songs in the 70s, including Three Dog Nights, Old Fashioned Love Song, which is a group that we talked about just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
His biggest hit was probably The Carpenters' We've Only Just Begun.
Oh, that's a good song.
In film, his biggest contribution to the film world was his Oscar-nominated song Rainbow Connection.
I love that song, but I'm also, and I don't think I've ever talked about it here, because why would I? We're talking about the end of the world stuff. I'm a huge fan of the Muppets.
I own every single Muppets movie.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I love the Muppets. One of my favorites.
So, I mean, I think there is a name for people that don't like the Muppets. They're called bad people. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go that far.
Do you have a favorite Muppets movie?
Muppet Treasure Island.
Interesting choice. It's cliche to go with Christmas Carol, but it is such a strong one.
It's like, if I'm gonna watch a Christmas Carol movie, I'm only gonna watch one movie. It's gonna be the Muppet Christmas Carol.
I was gonna say, in spite of that, tied for first place with Christmas Carol for me is Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's fair. Now I
love
say,
that movie.
The one thing I will say about like Muppet Treasure Island, that's my number one. It's a very close second for the first Muppet movie.
Oh yeah, the first Muppet movie is amazing. Yes,
it is fantastic, and of course, it starts with Rainbow Connection. So
it does indeed. It does.
So,
it does.
Big fan of this.
You get so many like little guests and things like that just show up throughout all the Muppet movies. Like, so if you like movies and stuff, like it's like a little. Kind of almost like a little love letter to you, and I'd liked that the modern ones continued that with some of their like random cameos that they have as well, because that's always fun, I think.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Paul Williams shows up here. He would also show up in Smokey and the Bandit, and Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise, a director that we talked about last week. And one of his brothers was actually a NASA scientist, which is interesting. So,
What?
like, his entire family is kind of like this bizarre mishmash of just like really interesting people. Yeah.
Hmm.
He would also compose most of the music for the animated film The Secret of Nim.
Oh yeah. Oh god,
So,
I haven't watched that in forever.
yeah, like I said, kind of a big deal, mostly for music, but does show up here as an actor. We're going to get into the background of this movie as well as the Travis trivia, and then we're going to get into the plot. So here we go. Let's get
Cool.
into the background of the movie here.
Yes.
So a little bit we'll sprinkle in as we talk about the movie, like we always do, but just some interesting things. This movie did have an extended cut that would show up in
Hmm?
two places. One on the Laserdisc, and also it was used in the TV version. So the TV version, they would actually edit quite a bit, and they would take scenes that were cut out of the theatrical cut and put them into the edited cut for TV. So
Hmm.
there is complete huge differences. Whenever they re-released them in a box set, they would put both versions together. So
Yeah.
now, whenever like I watch it on DVD, it has a lot of the cut scenes that were otherwise not in the original theatrical cut.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So the movie was the director hated making this movie, and
Oh.
so he had a good time with the last one, hated this one. He thought that they should have more money because of the title just alone, Battle for, like this is going to be a big epic battle.
Oh yeah.
We need more money. The studio disagreed. So once again, the money was an issue like it has been in every one of these movies except for the first one. It did make a profit. It ended up making $8 million, but it was the worst reviewed and the one that didn't quite make as much as the other Ape movies did. Did still open at number one, like every Planet of the Apes movie has,
Yeah.
but not enough to warrant them going back for quite some time, as this would kind of be the end, and we would pick it up back up again with the TV shows.
Hmm.
This movie would later show up in the television, or not that, well, it's showing on television in the movie Argo, because the story goes that the Canadian caper, which is how the U.S. diplomats were rescued from Iran in the 1980s during the Olympics. That's the idea that they got from that was turned into the movie Argo. Have you ever seen that movie?
I've only seen parts of it. I don't know why I haven't watched it all the way
Well,
through.
the true story of how they came up with that idea was the guy behind the concept of rescuing them was watching this movie on TV at the time, and he stole the idea at the end of this movie from this movie and was like, we'll just do that. And so, yeah,
Oh.
they did it. They called it the Canadian Caper. And yeah, so this movie does show up in another movie in Argo, where you can actually see part of it on TV as he's watching it. And then he sees that, he gets the idea, and he goes and writes it down. And then
Huh.
an interesting movie. I have only seen Argo like once or twice, but I remember liking it.
Yeah. Yeah. I need
Yeah,
to watch.
I
well,
remember liking
after we
it.
watch this one, then I'm gonna have to watch Argo. So.
So one of our favorites from last time, Mr. McDonald, he did not come back. He was offered to come back. They wanted him back,
Which makes no
but
sense.
but he eventually would refuse, and so he was changed to his brother. Was cast instead.
Which
So
still makes no sense.
yep.
Because why would they? It's supposed to be like hundreds of years later. Look, anyway,
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yep. Hundreds of years. That's fine.
I mean, what kind of virus was this? Like,
Well,
it killed the dogs and it let everybody else live really long.
just like in the Bible.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh Lord.
So since the budget was such an issue, whenever they get to the battle for the Ape City, we reuse a lot of the same scenes over and over and over again. So they would blow up like one house and they would film it from like multiple different angles and just reuse the different angles and just make it seem like multiple homes were blowing up because they couldn't afford to have more than one.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The director was very much had a very bad time here, where he was very constantly having to worry about money and how they were going to do things and get everything else. They also wanted to go a completely tonally different from the last one, where the last one was very violent, especially at the end. This one is like, let's make it way more for kids, like the originals kind of were more in line with. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
A little different there. And we'll get into a few more things as we get into the movie proper. But the last thing to talk about before we get into the Travis trivia is in some of the earlier drafts of the screenplay, Caesar was actually going to develop radiation poisoning and experience early onset balding.
What?
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yes. Yeah.
Wild.
There you go. So there's a little bit of the background and some fun facts, and then we'll add in some more as we get into this last of the Apes movies, because this has a notorious history. But before we do that, let's talk about the songs that were popular on this specific day in 1973. Are you ready to go? Some of these we got some big hitters here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some big hitters here.
I might know one or two of them.
You definitely know 4 of these 5. You may not know the song specifically, but you'll know the artists.
Oh, okay.
Okay, number 5 is a folk singer who usually had a partner. He is singing a song about a camera.
Oh, Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, do you know the song?
I believe it's just I Am a Camera.
Oh, no, close. Kodachrome.
Oh, Kodachrome. Oh, didn't he do it? No, that's a different song. Never mind. I don't know why.
It's called I Am a Rock.
I think that's what I did in my head. I was like, surely that's the song we're talking about. I am a something.
I am a rock.
I swear to God, there's something that's I Am a Camera. I'm about to look this up.
There might be another Paul Simon song about cameras. Who knows?
Well, it may not. I think it might be a movie.
Well, that made more sense. Number 4 is the artist is a man that you would put on when you wanted to get into a certain kind of lovemaking mood.
Oh. Well, I was going to go the wrong way, probably. I'm going to go wrong right away, but Luther Vandross?
Close. Keep going.
Al Green?
Another guess.
Oh, God.
Has a color in his name.
Oh, Barry White?
There you go.
There we go.
I'm going to love you just a little more, baby.
Oh, and what song was it? I appreciate it, but...
And number 3 is a man that we have talked about before. I have listened to his music, but I'm not super enough familiar with it to give you any kind of hints. It is Billy Preston, once again, with Will It Go Around in Circles.
I might know that song. I don't know it by the title.
Yeah, right. Number 2 and number 1 are both former Beatles.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say George Harrison.
George Harrison is number 1 with Give Me Love, Give Me Peace.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And I guess was McCartney the other one?
Paul McCartney and Wings was number 2 with My Love.
Nice. Oh, okay.
So very Beatles, cool. Very Beatles-esque in the 70s here. Yeah. Solo Beatles rocking up the charts. So we're going to take a break and come back and talk about the plot of Battle for the Planet of the Apes. See you guys in a second. Oh, yeah. Alrighty, y'all. Welcome to the middle section of the show. Next week, we will be back to start our little trilogy where we look at the War of the Worlds movies. We're going to start with the 2025 Ice Cube War of the World movie that has been all the rage on the internet recently. And then we're going to get in our favorite time machine that we've stolen from the Planet of the Apes movies with Cornelius at the helm. And he's going to take us to the middle 2000s where we look at the Steven Spielberg remake of War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. And then we'll end the month of September by looking at the final one, which is the original War of the Worlds. So next week, come back and we'll look at Ice Cube and see what his version is up to and why it's trying to get us to shop at Amazon.
I bet it wasn't a good day.
I don't think it was a good day. He probably had to use his AK. Probably had to use his AK. Speaking of using an RAK, we're going to get back to the movie right now. Part of this process is like I have to kind of pack lightly because if I bring a lot of shit, they're going to like search everything, and it's like, okay, so well, I may not be able to bring as much as I also probably have to delete all my JD Vance pictures before I fly.
Oh yeah, dude.
I think that's a booking requirement, right? Is to
I
delete
believe that is.
JD Vance memes before you get on the board. I think there's a sign at the TSA that says that, right? Like, please delete all your JD Vance memes
swear to
before
God, dude,
getting on the card.
If I was vice president of the United States, I'd be like, you can't go anywhere unless you're making fun of my ass, dude. You have dumb pictures of me everywhere, or else. Like, what a bitch. What a little hillbilly bitch.
Yeah, little hillbilly bitch. Alrighty, well, here we go. Welcome back to the show. Yes, this movie starts way different than the other ones do.
It does.
Immediately, we start with like exposition from, I guess, like the god ape. Basically,
yeah, like
we don't meet who's talking to us for a little while.
Yeah, it's just telling us and showing us.
Yeah, we're also like
movies.
over 1,000 years in the future from where we were.
It's really far in the future.
True, but now I will say that originally, whenever I first heard about this movie,
yes,
and first saw this movie, I must have been a little confused because I thought that was like, well, how do we jump 1,000 years in the future? That doesn't make any sense. This time watching it, I realized it's a framing device.
It is.
He's telling the story. He's like the Homer ape. You know, Homer would approve from,
absolutely.
I guess, inside of a wooden horse, right? Like he's shaking his head. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening is we're getting stock footage explaining the other movies, which, like we talked about with the exposition dump from Ricardo Montalban, kind of annoying.
Yes,
but I get why you're doing it.
Well, yeah, and
I get it.
It totally makes sense, especially if we're coming at this from writers who are unfamiliar with the movies. Originally, before they started working on it.
Yeah, they probably were like asked for notes of like, can we get like an explanation of the other movies? And they provided that. They were like, let's just copy and paste that in the script.
It's like, well, that's all right. That's the first.
All right, there's the intro. That's done.
First 10 pages taken care of right there.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's done right there. So then, after Homer the ape gives us his basically his framing narrative, and we'll come back to this by the end of it. We then jump back in time to an undisclosed time. We never really figure out where we are.
Not really.
We're never given a time period. We're told at the end of it that Caesar's been dead for 600 years, but that would mean that he lived to be so it's 2160, so he would live to... So he lived for a while, but it's like, okay, trying to figure out where we are is not really worth my time and energy.
No, I'm just gonna take it for granted. Like it's a bunch of time has passed, enough so that society has completely collapsed.
Yes,
or at least in this area. And because there might be other cities that are just fine, you know.
Could be.
And this is,
Could be.
But that'd be a fun little twist there. That's all just happening in the Northeast, and everywhere else in the world is just not having the same issue.
Speaking of fun little twists, remind me, and by the end of this, I'll tell you how I would have done this movie, because I have a different take that I would have thrown at it to do a little bit different.
Yeah, and I will say, I think my biggest complaints about the movie before I really paid attention this time, I completely 180'd on. So I actually liked it a lot more than I was like, I could give it up. My confusion about what the time was. Once I gave that up, I was like, okay, now I can actually just soak it in.
Yeah, of all of them, it's obviously one of the cheapest because of the overusage of stock footage and the repetition of the battle scenes being very repetitively reliant on the same scene over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of that, watching it through the second time, my opinion on it did grow as well. Like, it went from being
absolutely.
like, I like this one the least of all, to I like this one more than I think I like the second one.
I think I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah,
this one definitely moved
at
up.
least. It definitely moved up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. So we started at school, which is fun, and we have a young Cornelius and a young General Aldo. So there's that name that we get, which is not at all related to the Aldo that they mentioned in the third movie, but it kind of is, because they bring up the name again of like Aldo and the Apes, but they cut out and they edit out the part where he says that Aldo, is like, So somehow they're trying to get this movie to tie into the third movie.
Yeah,
that's a stretch.
it
That's a bit of a
that's
stretch, especially because the fourth movie just kind of contradicted a lot of what happened in the third movie, which was
yes.
fine. Like, okay, cool, we're moving away from that as a story thread. Okay, I understand. I got it. I got it. Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean I agree, but I understand you're moving away from
Yeah.
that. But then now this one's like, okay, well now what if everything's connected? And it's like, God, that's a stretch.
Yeah, like, oh, okay. Now I'm hurting.
Yeah, now
Now
you're really trying a lot here. So literally the teacher says no, which is basically like him
you're
saying a bad word
yeah.
to the
Like,
apes, and because
well,
they're not, they were told no
in
beforehand, which was like
that's right.
in the fourth movie, that was what was repeated at them on the loudspeakers when they
Well,
were
and
in the
not only
middle of the
that,
revolution.
but they were being conditioned to like getting electrical shock while the word no is being played, so it
Yeah,
really gave them like this aversion to the word no.
yeah.
And I guess all of these apes are the same apes?
I suppose, yeah, or the sons of, because like Cornelius is here as the son of Caesar now,
Yeah.
and that becomes a
And
plot thread later. Aldo is also, like we said, here, and
but they're all verbal now?
yeah, they can all talk now.
I
And
honestly,
speaking,
I
talking,
didn't.
Virgil is like more intelligent than Caesar is.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how
These,
that developed so quickly. We didn't even have Virgil in the last movie. Now he's not only here; he's one of the primary characters.
honestly, and it's one of those things. Again, I just had to not think about it
Yeah.
because I was like, you know what, fine. They
Speaking
all
of not
talk
thinking
now.
about, I had to not think about Aldo's performance in this movie. It's
Oh,
maybe the worst ape ever of any of
yeah.
these movies. Like his performance is absolutely terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
He can barely walk properly.
Yeah.
He keeps chewing his mask, so it looks like it's caving in on itself, like a fucking Halloween mask. Like it's just his performance is just awful. And it sucks because
Yeah.
he's one of the main characters of the fucking movie.
Right?
He's probably one of the reasons that he drug it down from being like, maybe this one's like tied for third best. And it's like,
Yeah.
Aldo performance is really bad. Yeah.
It's
So, like we talked about in the casting, the McDonald character has been replaced because now it's the brother.
yeah, I believe he's the brother.
He's the brother of McDonald, but we don't know that until like a third of the way through the movie when it's identified by the mutants at the city. Until then, you're just like, is this the same fucking guy as before? Because they
Well,
keep
I
calling
think-
him McDonald,
Well, they were
but he's
calling
not
him
the same
McDonald.
guy.
He does make reference to his brother whenever they're talking about the archives.
Yeah.
He's talking about his brother worked there, and
Yeah, but he's never like my brother, who, by the way, you were really good friends with in the last fucking movie. Like, he's just like my brother. I'm like, all right, it's your friend, it's your brother. Like, all right, cool.
yeah,
Like, he worked at another place. I believe that, but I didn't know he was talking about the guy that was in the last movie.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, McDonald.
This is the time when they just are like, the people will get it. We
The
don't want to
people will
insult their
figure it out.
intelligence.
We'll
Like,
figure it out. So McDonald and Caesar are having this discussion because McDonald knows that there's this recording of Caesar's parents in the archives buried underneath this now collapsed nuclear radiated city.
which is a hell of a plot contrivance there.
A couple of them thrown on top of each other. It's okay. We're taking the trash out. Just throw it into a big leap. Just throw it
it's
into
like,
a big leap.
we got to get this thing moving forward. This will push it. Like, just add more things. It'll put weight to it, and it'll move forward. I promise.
And this is where the movie, I think, could have gone a different direction, because they're going to go to the radioactive city, but before they get there, they have to go to the armory, and that scene's cute and fun, and establishes that there's an order here within the community of you can't just go and get weapons, right? There's a process to it, a system that maybe we in America should fucking take control over. Right? It's not too bad.
I mean, honestly.
Mm-hmm. When a movie from the night
should be in control.
I was gonna say when a sci-fi movie from the 1970s, a low budget one, has a better gun control policy than an entire country, it's probably not a good sign.
Yeah, for real.
So they're gonna do all that, but I was gonna say I think that they really could have added radioactive renegade rogue apes in this radioactive city.
Oh yeah,
Something like that could have been fun, because I don't know why radioactivity wouldn't affect the apes. That would affect animals just like it affects humans.
Yeah.
It kills life forms. It mutates bears and stuff after periods of time. So however much time has passed, they could have done something like that. But that's also going to cost some money. So maybe let's not.
Oh,
Maybe let's not. Right?
yeah, just minimal makeup on a person instead of trying to figure out makeup on makeup.
Hmm.
Like that whole thing. We
So
can't redo prosthetics at this point.
yeah.
In fact,
So
they've kind of switched to masks too.
Basically, yeah. So Virgil, Caesar, and McDonald are all three of them are geared up to go do the big dirty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as they're getting ready to go do the big dirty, they're going to meet some people in the way, and this is where we finally meet our villains of the movie, which is the
Yeah.
governor, who is the same person from the previous movie that was the Inspector Klopp, that was second in control.
Yep.
He's here again now as the Governor Klopp, which the governor of, I guess, this like group of people who are just kind of here.
Yeah. And
They don't, they serve
they
only to
have-
just kind of be aggressors for no reason, because I guess Aldo's performance was so shit they couldn't rely on that.
Well, and I guess this is again they're trying to tie everything into one neat little bow. These are the clearly the predecessors to the mutants
Yeah,
in which one?
Apes 2.
What was the name of it though? Beneath.
The Children of Adam.
Well, like the Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
No,
and
yeah,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah,
really trying to
tie everything
I-
together.
and I'm starting to think that's what they were asked to do.
That might have
Like,
been. That might have been. Well,
yeah.
like we said before, when we were getting into the background of it, they went into this knowing that they were making a TV show after, and that was primarily where their focus was. Was like that's the focus. Is let's get to the TV show. Like, okay, just
we're
we're moving into the TV show.
show.
Yeah, we got to watch the TV show at some point.
Oh,
yeah.
I think we do.
So the conflict of the movie is set in motion as finally the governor, kind of the troops move in on Caesar and McDonald and Virgil, as they have now found the tape they were looking for. They know the truth, which is what's going to happen with the gorillas causing basically the end of the world. And they get into a little light explanation of the, time paradox, and, we can change one and that'll affect the alternative outcome of everything else. And so they're going to try to change the future, basically, by not going to the past, but just by not hoping the gorillas kill everyone.
Yeah.
And this is when they start closing in on them and they have to flee, and there's a big shootout. And it's kind of well done, but it's so dark and poorly lit, it's hard to really see anything. And you can tell it's because of the budget. Like, we can't afford to see how.
And it's very enclosed, very claustrophobic. Because they're just, they are in tunnels and like these archive tunnels and everything. It's you get the idea that it's underground, but it's,
Yeah.
it's a struggle.
Speaking of TV shows, this movie has the pacing of a TV show, because that was basically like the end of one plot point, and now we move to another plot beat because we're back to Ape HQ. And at Ape HQ, a young Cornelius is up to mischief as he is climbing amongst the trees, and he overhears Aldo and the gorillas having a meeting where they are talking about overthrowing Caesar. And they immediately spot Cornelius and know that he hears them, which leads to this weird scene where they have to chase after him that goes on for far too long.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, doesn't end well for Cornelius. He falls from the tree, which later on we learn is his death.
Yes.
Which kind of is a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. And it does lead to probably my favorite part of the movie, or at least performance.
Yeah, right. So, it's coming up pretty well. So the humans have now figured out where Ape HQ is, and they are heading there. And to do so, they have to cross a desert for some reason.
Yeah.
Are they in Nevada? I don't know.
I don't know where. Yeah, no, this geographically makes no sense.
Yeah, because they're in the desert, and the next time we see them, they're in like a lush forest and like in a quarry shortly after. If anything, this kind of like immediately brings up the idea that we could have done a Planet of the Apes Mad Max crossover.
Ooh.
Like, what if these group of people are traveling through, and then on the way they meet Max, and he's just like, helping the apes now? Then we get a Mad Max Welcome to Planet of the Apes. There's the crossover we need to write.
I had a different idea of the crossover, and that was we've already had apes in a sauna, so we had them in towels. We could have had apes in bondage gear, like from Mad Max.
Lord Humongous is an ape, just with the full bondage gear on. That'd have been a good one. That'd have been a good one.
Oh my god.
Oh shit! So well, we're doing a detour. We might as well continue down this detour. And very briefly before we get to the end of the movie, because we're building to it. It's pretty much this is the shortest of all the Apes movies. It's almost
very
here
short.
already.
And it feels so short.
It does.
Like-
Well, that's because a lot of it was cut. So here's all the stuff that was cut out that was then later added. This was stuff that was added for the Laserdisc cut of the movie, would later be on the Blu-ray cut and special features, as well as some of the DVD versions. However, it was also, when this movie first came on TV in the 70s and 80s, this was some of the stuff they would add to it to pad it out for TV length. So all of this was filmed, but most of it was cut out of the theatrical cut, which is, I think, the one we're watching is the theatrical cut. Because some of this I remember seeing and some of that I don't. So depending on the version you're watching, you're going to see different little things here. So here's a few of them. Not all, but here's a few. The opening credits is about 25 seconds longer, and you get more footage of Aldo on his horse.
Oh.
The chase scene involving the teacher, that already goes on too long, goes on for 20 seconds longer. When Professor Klopp is walking around the HQ, there's more dialogue of him talking to people.
Okay.
Yeah. The entry into the Forbidden City with Caesar is about 40 seconds longer, with more dialogue and additional kinds of dialogue between him and McDonald and Virgil. The escape from the city is longer, with more footage and more dialogue. The scene where Cornelius is shot, it happens earlier, and it makes it clear that the shooting is a game, which makes more sense since no human party had even yet approached Ape City. There's a deleted scene where General Klopp tells his lieutenant to fire an atomic missile on Ape City when he gives his signal.
Yeah.
The battle scene is about like 40 seconds longer than it was originally. There's like a bunch of different cuts and dialogue where they lay down all the smoke that's going to show up in the battle scene that's just there inexplicably for no real reason. Yeah, about 6 minutes of the battle scene were completely cut. Yeah. There's the scene where Aldo kills the General Culp at the end with the school bus. That's changed and a little bit different in the original in this version. The fight scene between Aldo and Caesar is also longer and goes on for a bit more. And there's also a deleted scene where Mendez becomes the new governor of the mutants, and they argue over who's going to fire the bomb, and so they also connect it, like you said, to Beneath the Planet of the Apes, because there's also a direct connection where it's shown visually that it's the same bomb that would later show up in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So they don't fire it, which is confusing because Beneath the Planet of the Apes makes it very clear that we're in New York.
Yes.
And in this movie, we are very clearly in the West Coast because we were either in somewhere in California or the West Coast not too long ago.
Right.
So if that's where Cornelius and Zira were, we have to be like San Diego, San Mateo, like San Bernardino, somewhere in that area here as well. So yeah, geography be damned, basically.
Well, I have one. I can say two words that make it all make sense. Alternate universe. There.
There you go. Well,
certain landmarks are in the wrong place.
So Aldo uses Caesar's absence to seize power, and also his now basically killed Caesar's child. And so Caesar's taking this kind of hard and doesn't really want to participate in any of the duties of running Ape City.
Fair.
Meanwhile, young Cornelius musters up enough energy to kind of let it known what happens to him, just ever so much, but not enough that Cornelius has the exact information.
Right.
Because we're going to build to that.
Well, and I don't know how they exactly, I know that they saw that the branch was cut with a sword, I guess, and... Yeah,
they look at it and it looks like there's sword, I guess indentations where it was struck by a weapon and not broken naturally.
And I guess that's how, I think, is that what leads them to realize Aldo did it, or
Yeah. That's definitely what contributes. Yeah, because Aldo has seized power and he's basically taken all humans into prisoner.
that's
So
right.
they're now being forced into basically like how they were in the first movie. Once again, connecting those dots.
Yeah, and again, well, we get more parallels to real life here with
Hmm.
how we handled American citizens in World War II. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly.
like, yep.
Yeah, so the battle has begun as the mutants have finally shown up to Ape City, and this is where we get a bunch of recycled shots because you can tell that the budget here is limited for putting on a big battle scene. This is not the worst battle scene I've ever seen. This does remind me of Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark, where same thing. It's supposed to be this like big battle at the end of the movie, and it's like y'all are in a park and there's like 7 of you.
You know, I never watched that, and I still haven't because I
You're not
haven't
missing anything.
had to.
There you go.
And I don't think I
Well,
ever will watch it. I think I'm just gonna leave that one.
just gonna leave that one by the wayside. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can suffer alone, sir.
Yeah. So this movie, you can tell that the budget is limited here because we're using a bunch of smoke, and we're gonna blow up one building, and we're just gonna repeat that shot over and over again, and then different angles of the same building blowing up. Because we can only afford to blow up one of these fucking buildings.
Oh yeah, and I feel like that's a thing I find fun when, like, in a comedic way that they do that, where they'll use the same footage for, like, just different, like, something will happen,
Yeah.
and it's like the same footage, like somebody's shooting a basket, and it just keeps going in exactly the same way every time because it's the same footage, like
Right.
that. In a different context, I think it's very funny to be used, but
Definitely
if you're
get some
trying
of
to
that
do
here.
it seriously, it's hard to take seriously.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of hard to take seriously, Virgil carrying an AK was hilarious
Yeah,
because it just didn't fit his body at all. He's supposed to be like this, like time aware philosophical ape, and he's like grabbing up arms and running and shooting. And they repeat the same footage of the same apes running with the same guns to the same position to fire the same shots over and over and over again until Caesar steps in and says, "Hey, let's retreat, let's fall back." And this part of the movie makes no fucking sense.
no.
Because Caesar's plan is basically like the old rope-a-dope. I'm going to make them
Yeah.
think I'm on my last leg, and then as soon as they realize it, then I'm going to swoop in and have the counterattack. Because Culp moves in on Caesar, who he thinks he's got the better of. And rather than just executing him at point-blank range like he could have,
Yeah.
he decides to do the stupid villain, like, here's why I'm evil speech. Which, of course, conveniently is what Caesar knew was going to happen, which allows him to get the upper hand on Culp as they gang rush them whenever they're not expecting it.
Yep.
Kind of
I mean, it was in the movie, in the context of the movie, pretty clever. But
clever in the movie, but yes, and this is also where we get our famous fight like an ape scene.
Yeah.
Does yours movie get like all of a sudden like a little dark spot on the film?
I don't remember a dark spot. I remember it being dark, though, in a lot of parts.
Right as he says this in my copy, there's like a big dark spot that shows up on the film grain. And apparently this is because when the masks were so poorly fitted, when he said this speech, they only got one take of it. As he's saying it, his mask began to fall off.
Oh, no.
So that's what's in the movie. They just went with it. And so they tried their best to fix it, but it's apparently a little noticeable if you break down the frame by frame. So,
man.
Yeah. So Caesar says fight like apes, and so they all start attacking the humans, causing them into retreat. Caesar tells them we don't kill. They don't kill. So
That's right.
they all just run away with the humans into their school bus. However, this whole time Aldo and his group of guerrillas have been nowhere to be seen.
Oh, yeah,
That is
that's
because
right.
they are off on the ridge waiting for the outcome of the initial fight to swarm in and I guess take what's left, because that's basically what they do.
Yeah.
They swarm the school bus and they basically break all the windows and shoot rounds of AKs into the school bus until everyone inside is dead. And that's the end of the mutants.
Yeah.
They're dead now.
But there should still be mutants. I mean,
I mean, I guess some of them are still at the place where we
I,
left, and they'll show
yeah,
up later on in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, since these are
yeah,
all supposed to be connected. Or maybe the
yeah.
TV show says more about this. I don't know.
I get no telling, but
I'm not sure.
I guess that makes sense. Why I think the in Beneath the mutants are aware of the apes, and that's why they have all those safeguards in place. Is for them, I guess.
Yeah, the
So
illusions to protect them. Maybe.
yeah, so I guess
Maybe
maybe they
maybe this
are
is the fight
aware.
that makes them realize that they can't actually take them on hand to hand. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like because they seem very confident that like this is going to be so easy, but they
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
took a lot of their weaponry away. You know,
True.
they because
True.
to do all this, they probably got you know used if maybe all of it, but
Yeah.
because they
So the
don't use
battle
any
with the
weapons.
human, yeah. So the battle
Yeah.
with the humans is over, but the battle with the apes between the apes is not yet, because
Hmm.
Aldo shows back up to Ape HQ, and he is none too happy to see the humans still be about to be released.
Yeah.
And so he orders them all to be executed, and Caesar gets in the way. And this is where we finally get it revealed that Aldo killed a fellow ape. Ape killed
Mm,
ape, as they shout
yes.
over and over and over again. Not unlike Mad Max 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ape has killed ape. Ape has killed ape, as they say again and again.
Yes.
This causes Aldo to have a little bit of a panic attack as he starts to just
I
climb a
mean,
tree with Caesar after him. And he pulls
where
out a
and
blade.
Caesar yelling, "Murdered my son."
You murdered my son, over and over and over again. Yeah.
So that's intense. That's
It
a hell of a
is,
thing to
yeah.
yell.
And Aldo pulls out a knife, but his balance is not so great, as
Yeah.
Caesar inadvertently causes him to fall to his death. And now Caesar has killed an ape as well.
Yeah.
And he asks Virgil what to make of this, and they're not so sure yet.
Yeah.
Not so sure what to make of this. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Is I feel like there's some use of like Roman and Greek influence here. Is Aldo does that have any ties? Is that a name? Because you got Virgil and you've got
Yeah,
Caesar.
yeah.
I'm wondering.
I'm not sure
I
of
don't know if
Aldo.
that's something that
Yeah,
they were
I was
going
gonna say, I
for.
know Virgil definitely, obviously Caesar, obviously the connection there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm not so sure about Aldo.
Nah. Maybe
Perhaps.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it up to your opinion, audience. So
Anybody
Caesar,
that knows anything more than me, which
Caesar
is
and
most people.
Virgil decide to free the humans, because the humans basically argue back after they've been let out of the prison they've been put in by Aldo,
Yeah.
that we're still not free. Like right
Right.
now, we're still subservient to you. We will only be free whenever we're out of your, out of your realm of control.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how the movie ends, with them freeing the humans, and we return to our framing narrative, where Homer the ape is now back in class, and he is teaching both human and ape alike, which, as we mentioned way, way back in the second Planet of the Apes movie, was an idea that they did try to add to the movie, but got some pushback on.
Oh.
Yeah. They
Hmm.
tried to have that scene in the second movie as well, and there was some pushback from the studio, and they said, no, here we finally have it, where Ape and Man is in class together, learning about history, and we end with a freeze of statue of Caesar, and the credits
Yep.
play. So, final thoughts on the Ape movies before we take a break from this world and do something a little different.
So we're just gonna talk like sum up. I mean,
Let's just talk about this movie. Yeah, let's just do this movie, and then we'll sum up all together thoughts.
yeah, like well, this movie, I am glad I paid more attention. Now, I will say, my opinion of it was raised, because I was very confused, and I guess I just did not understand before. It still didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I got it that this was just a story being told from the future, and it was more recent, but still some time had passed since, and there were some events that have taken place since the fourth movie. Um, this one still, even though my opinion of it was raised, like it still doesn't rise to some of the other movies, like the fourth movie and the first movie and even the third movie. I think it's a little stronger than the second movie, just because it has, I don't know, I just find it more interesting. And um, the, you know, definitely a dichotomy in performance. I think Roddy McDowall is just incredible to watch in these
Yeah,
movies,
he
and
is.
especially when they just let him go.
Yeah,
Like, and they let him go on this one, and I think they should. He's kind of like a Nick Cage character. You just got to let him go, like, um, because he can play the real, kind of bored. That's how I took Cornelius in the first movie, but uh, in this one, he definitely gets to have his Nick Cage moments. He gets to
yeah,
go just murdered my son. I don't know why I
yeah,
like yelling
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But the but no, yeah, it's not the strongest of the Apes movies, but I did like it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say not the strongest, but definitely better than people give it credit for. Obviously the framing narrative is different than we have in the other ones, but I like to see something different. Especially because there's a lot of the eight movies just steal from each other, which is so we start. This one does the same thing, so it's following the tradition of its forefathers there. So I'm not really mad about it stealing from itself. Like that's nothing new. I would change a couple things. Like I said, I had a different version of this movie in mind whenever
Mhm.
if I was conceiving it. Here's what I would have done. The next day after the fourth movie, immediately pick it up the following day. Assault on Precinct 13, but with apes.
Oh,
The humans raid the now ape compound, and it's basically like how they survive the night. Aldo teaching the apes, them building a community within, and then maybe they get out without having to resort to violence. Meanwhile, the humans are like failing to work together to break down this compound that they're trying to enter into. I thought something like that would have been cool. Something like that would have been fun. We take it a different direction. Instead, we get to see Caesar years in the future and Caesar dealing with, being in charge while people beneath him are not necessarily willing to follow his orders. And how is he going to handle that? Is he going to be, what kind of leader is he? Very Game of Thronesy in a lot of ways, especially with the son dying and the revenge narrative that we see at the end there. I wish this movie was a bit longer because it seems like based on what was all cut, there's a lot more that we would have gotten fleshed out and more information that would have made it a little bit more sensical.
hmm
There's some parts of it, like we said, like the Aldo performance is pretty bad. The battle scene definitely shows its cost and stuff like that. But I can look past a lot of those things because I do think that having now watched it again for the first time in a very long time, the movie has definitely grown on me. Has definitely grown on me. I'll have to watch the TV shows and then the new ones to see where it places. Eventually, we will do a ranking of all of the Apes movies, but we'll have to wait
oh,
on that for a while now because we got still some more to go.
yep.
So, final thoughts on the Ape movies overall, and then all first of these original five that we talked about.
Oh, wow. Final thoughts on all of them. The first movie was just such, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about it that just hits so hard, It's just like, this is a hell of a movie. This is a hell of a story. This is like, I don't know. It just felt different than movies I had watched before it, you know. I mean, not, and I don't mean that came before it. I meant, you know, movies that I had been watching. And then I watched this movie and I was just like, wow, this, I don't know, it just really hit me. And I was just like, it really became one of my favorite movies. And then watching the rest of them, they, didn't give me as strong a feeling, but, I like them a lot. And
Yeah,
especially
me.
because I have seen these newer movies that have been coming out.
Yeah,
And
the new ones. Yeah,
the new ones, they're good for what they are, but
they're
these
different.
movies, they are very different. These movies, it's such a different feeling. It's like it just comes from a very different time where
Yeah, yeah,
there was
definitely.
different things being said, and I do like that there is a lot of social commentary throughout these movies, and I think that's very powerful. And I can, I get why people were just like, yeah, we're gonna go watch that movie, like we're gonna make sure they make a lot of money. But no, I really like these movies. These are This is easily one of my favorite sagas, I guess, of movies, whatever you call that, when there's more than a trilogy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, this is
a
definitely one of my
shitload.
favorites. This is one of my favorite shitload of movies.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I really like them. Like you said, the first one is classic, and then I was actually going to ask you to rank yours. I'll rank mine here in just a minute. But I think as a series, the five movies, they're a very strong series. Each of them is very uniquely different, and I love the history behind all of them. How uncertain the studio was of whether or not they were going to be received well, and how it was, we're not really sure, and then we're going to kind of double down on doing the same thing, and then change it up a little, and then have some fun and use some different stuff. And so, I would have really liked to see them continue to make them for going all the way in, until 1977. It would have been cool to see the Apes movies go on until Star Wars kind of took over. But I don't think we get Star Wars without these Apes movies being as successful as they were, because it kind of, I think, helped show that there was that audience in the 70s for like ambitious sci-fi epics. And I'll give you my ranking of them. I've said before that number 4 is my favorite, so that's number 1 right there. Number 3, I would say, is my second favorite, followed by number 1. And then I'm going to say the 5th one moved over the second one now. So I'm going to say the second one is my least favorite of these after watching them most recently now. You got a ranking of them?
I do. So it's similar in, well, actually, it's not similar. Uh, for me, the first movie is my number 1, and then the fourth, and then the third. Um, and then now again, just like you, the fifth one ahead of the number 2. So, or edged ahead of the second movie. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So 1, 4, 3, 5, 2 is my ranking. How's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. I like it. Yeah, very, very similar. Very, very similar. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of edging, thank you for getting to the edge of this episode, and we will we will see you next week as we talk about War of the Worlds from 2025 with Ice Cube, a movie that you can watch streaming on Amazon Prime. This isn't an ad, I promise. The movie might be, but you can go find it, and we'll talk about that next week. And we'll see you guys then. Bye.
Take it easy.
Hot damn, college boy. Thank you so much for listening. Every single week we come back with a new movie about the end of the world, or a movie about the beginning of the end of the world, or what happens after the end of the world, or maybe one day we just decide to watch Showgirls. Who knows? Right? But every week we are coming back, and thank you so much for stopping in this week and listening to the whole episode and hearing our thoughts on whatever train wreck of a movie I chose to force my friend to watch this week. I'm a good person like that. And thank you for also being a good person. There you go. If you want to be a really, really fucking cool person, which you obviously are, why don't you give us a like, and actually, more importantly, give us a subscribe. I find that to be more important. I don't know if the algorithm says it is. I don't really give a shit. But thank you for your patronage either way, and clicking all the things and doing all the stuff. Bye. Thanks.